Hello, Laura,
Hello, Stephanie.
and happy December forecast.
Happy December forecast. And before we begin with December, shall we recap on our wild November?
Yes, absolutely. You have some major highlights, so please take us down memory lane. What unfolded?
So much, but I really did take note of the dates, the transits, and what was going on. And this is very simple, but it was very literal. On November 4th, when Saturn stationed direct at 00 degrees. And you've probably heard Stephanie and I mention the critical degrees in astrology. When a planet is at zero, it's very potent. I had the worst teeth pain, and Saturn rules teeth.
Mhm.
And it kind of reminded me of all the teeth trauma I had in my past, because teeth is also where you hold your trauma, your pain, your worries, because it's the densest part of our bodies. So it manifests in our teeth. And this had been like, I guess, a month of me grinding my teeth during the nighttime. And I didn't realize how stressed out I was. And I had so much pain. So I went to the dentist, and my dentist was like, "What have you been doing to your molars? They're like gone." She's like, "You're going to have to get a root canal. You're going to have to get all this work done to your back molars." And I was just so devastated because I don't have dental insurance. So that was like a big thing that I noticed on that day. And now I don't have pain in my teeth. Like, I have to get them fixed eventually, but it was that specific day that the pain just was like too much for me to handle.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice anything that day when Saturn stationed direct?
I'd have to look back in my journal, but I will say over the past month, a pregnancy symptom, something they don't tell you, your gums just start to bleed. And
Oh,
my gums have been bleeding just like randomly. It's like noon on a Wednesday, blood.
oh,
Yeah.
weird.
So
Because your mouth
probably,
is stretching.
I don't know. Yeah, everything is stretching. I'm not sure what is happening to me anymore, but yeah. So that's kind of teeth related. But yeah, the astrology this month was just so loud. We had like that Scorpio stellium moving
Mm-hmm.
through my fourth house at the beginning of like the first half of the month. And it was squaring all of my planets in Leo in my first house. And um, I just felt like I really found my voice and was
You did.
sharing kind
Yeah.
of like what I had kept to myself, right? Like if Mercury and Scorpio is in my fourth house, the subterranean, all of my thoughts, my beliefs, that square really pushed me to speak up and speak out. And it's been very healing for me.
Mm-hmm. I also experienced that as well. The more I faced my fears, the more the fears turned into confidence.
Mhm.
And for me, that's transmutation. That is Scorpio energy. It's like the more you go into your darkness, your shadow, your fears, whatever they might be, they don't become your fears anymore. It's like your confidence. And I just was like, oh, it takes a season, a Scorpio season to make that happen. I just thought it was pure like alchemy.
Mhm. Mhm.
Did you have
Absolutely.
anything happen on the Kazemi, the Mars Kazemi,
Yeah. So the Mars Kazemi, that was
November 17th,
okay.
midnight?
Yeah, so that took place in my fourth house. And I was helping a friend who had with one of their children who had a lot going on, and just spent the day with her kid and kind of took him away from everything that was going on and
Mhm.
made him feel special and like the center of attention. And we went bowling and we played in an arcade and we played Mario Kart and Mario 64. And it was super healing for me because as a child with a sibling with severe disabilities, I grew up in the shadows and often neglected. And, everyone had their hands full and everyone was doing the best that they could do. But it oftentimes meant that I was like left on my own to my own devices. And so to really pour love and energy into, this young person, like when they needed it most, was like not only fun because I fucking love Mario Kart, but it was really healing. So
Mhm.
it was deep and cathartic in true
Mhm.
Scorpio fashion.
Yeah, in the fourth house,
Hmm.
which is like such a foundational home place.
Yeah. And as I'm getting ready to like make a little human, it felt really healing to like nurture in that way as well, which is kind of fourth
Mhm.
housey.
Yeah, I love that story when you shared that. It felt very like transmuting your own story of like um your sibling dynamic as well.
Hmm. What about you? Yours was loud and exciting.
Yeah. It was really funny because it was such a synchronistic moment. I decided to, well, actually, I was meeting up with a coworker I used to work with in New York City at my finance job. She lives in LA now, but she was in town. So we had this plan for a month to meet up on the Mars Kazemi. And later on that evening, I was going to meet up with two of my friends at a Palestinian restaurant down in downtown in New York City. And well, I was just like looking on Instagram and I saw that they were having a free Palestine protest, like a couple blocks down from where I was meeting my friend. And so I messaged she's also an astrologer. And I said, I'm going to this protest before dinner. If you want to meet me, come meet me at Bryant Park in front of the library. And it was such an interesting thing too, because my friend Brooke, who I used to work with, I see her like once a year, and she knows I'm a pretty like radical person. Like we went to the Women's March together, but Palestine's like a different thing. It's very polarizing. So but at this point, I was like, I'm not hiding it.
Hmm.
So she was like, "What are you doing after? Like, what do you have plans after this?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to a free Palestine protest."
Hmm.
And she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you." And like, she was doing a lot of research um, and yeah, so it made me feel more bold because I wasn't afraid to even share that. And then I went to go meet up with my friend, my astrologer friend, and when I got there, she was crying. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm just so emotional because my throat has been closed. I've been wanting to share this, but I haven't. Like, none of my friends know that I'm Free Palestine. And I just feel like I felt trapped. And we've all felt like that before, you know? And I was like, well, this is your chance to scream. Cause, when you go to a protest, you like chant the same thing and like, just get it out. So we're chanting, we're screaming. And then there was like three photographers in front of us taking photos. And I like jokingly nudged her and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if we woke up tomorrow and our faces are on the cover of a newspaper? Oh my gosh. The next morning, I open up my Instagram and her face is on the New York Times Instagram
Oh
account.
my God.
And she is a Scorpio rising. So she like came out like in such a big way. And a Mars Kazemi is like a rebirth. It's like basically a new moon, and it's her coming out and being fierce and saying, "This is who I am." And I was like, wow, the universe is like so amazing that way.
Also just a psychic nod to you for like literally calling that.
I
But
know. What the heck?
also like so Kazemi in your 12th house to have that kind of premonition and
Yes.
another kind of 12th housey thing. Your eye was on it on the cover, right? Wasn't just like part of
Yes.
your eye in the photo. And that's so
Yes.
12th housey. It's like, I'm here, but I'm not. You can see me, but you can't. Right. Like Oh my God.
Yes, my eye was in it. I was like, oh my gosh. Yes, it was. And then like when we were marching, we saw this like, I don't know, it was a water tank or something with scorpion on it.
Mm.
And I had that on my Instagram stories. I was like, look at this. Like, this is so archetypal, like energy. It's insane, you know?
I love when the universe just like screams at you in that way.
Literally screams at you.
Mhm.
And something similar happened to me last night where, so we're recording this on November 29th, and in the sky we have Venus in Libra conjunct the South Node, and the South Node has like a releasing energy. And my Venus, my Libra house is the 11th house, which is like your fans, social media, people that you don't really know, but it's like your community. And my TikTok account got banned because I guess people don't like me sharing my views, and that was also so literal, like the like goodbye account.
Yeah, you cannot get more literal than that. Like if you were putting the basic building blocks and archetypes of 11th house,
Yes.
Libra,
Mm-hmm.
South Node.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, there were other, I think when these things happen, it's not in a vacuum, right? Because other things are happening. So Mercury and Sagittarius is exactly conjunct my Neptune. So
Mm.
there is some like, communication disruption. I'm a Sagittarius rising, so it's my first house. So I'm literally having like me cut off in some way. And Mars in Sagittarius was square to Saturn
Mm-hmm.
in Pisces. So there were like multiple things happening at once, which is why I'm not worried. Like I'll get my account back, and if not, then I'll just start over. It's like the ultimate surrender. But again, I trust what the universe is doing. Not that I think everything happens for a reason, but I just thought it was like a cosmic joke. I was just like,
That's crazy. And I think what you just mentioned is so important for any astro newbie or anyone who like wants to become better at practicing astrology. Astrological transits and events never happen in a vacuum. And it's so important. I always try to look for at least 3 points of evidence, right? So
mm-hmm,
three
mm-hmm,
different transits
mm-hmm.
or something going on in the progress chart or something getting
Yes,
triggered in the solar return chart. Uh,
totally.
but you can definitely, once they're layered and they're all
Mhm.
kind of happening around the same time, that's when you can really start to make predictions.
Yes. And this full moon in Gemini happened in my angular houses. And like the full moon was in my seventh house of open enemies. So, like those four things, I was like, oh, yeah, like not that this was not that I could have predicted this, but I understand why it happened. And maybe there's a bigger reason why maybe I'm meant to focus on writing my book.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I just thought it was really funny that it was so literal.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And one last thing I want to say, because in our forecast for November, we were kind of like a little scared for the Mars square Saturn aspect on November 25th. And I only felt the positive manifestations of that transit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was because I was prepared, but it like propelled me to get a lot of work done, because for the past like 2 months, I was so drowning in grief and mourning and just feeling like stuck for good reason. I want to be connected to my humanity and I want to grieve and mourn. But then it was that day I was like, okay, I'm gonna like get work done and I'm gonna refocus on myself, and I'm going to like focus on the future and what we're creating versus all the bad things and all the destruction that's happening in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's important because sometimes these tougher aspects do manifest positively. And it just totally also depends on your chart. And sometimes they don't really manifest as dramatically as you anticipated. For me, I had an awful migraine most of the day, and I a couple days or like a week prior, my friend and I made like a silly TikTok about being millennials, and we like didn't think much of it, and we just like posted it, and it went viral, and it was my first time ever going viral in my life, and I was like, oh my god, my Leo was like dying. I was like, this is the best thing ever. And leading up to the Mars Saturn square, I was like, I gotta make another hit. I gotta make another hit, right? Like I was like, I want more. I got that hit of dopamine, that rush from like going viral, and I was like, I want more, I want more, I want more. And I was putting videos out there, and they were like not flopping, but not going anywhere. And I was like, ugh, this is so Mars square Saturn. I need to I need to stop, because it was in my fifth house of like self-expression, And I was like, I need to just stop for now, and I'll go viral again eventually. But yeah. So that was like another literal manifestation.
Yeah, you went viral for the cutest video too, because I go viral and I get the worst trolls. Because I always go viral for something like controversial that I say, like you went viral for a very playful Sagittarius thing, you were just expressing something fun.
It was very playful, but there were a lot of haters in there too, talking there. Oh
Of
yeah,
course.
telling me all about plastic straws and
Oh,
towels. And I was
of
like, this is
course.
a silly joke for the internet. It's 42 seconds, but thank you for
Mhm.
your feelings.
Yeah. Honestly, the more comments you have, the more it goes viral. So that's what I learned on my TikTok journey.
Oh, I was loving it. I was like instigating back, poking the bear. I'm like, come on, give me more comments.
Yeah. Be careful, don't get banned.
I know, I know. In terms of like world events and the month of November, I think what is unfolding in Gaza, the ongoing genocide, has just taken most of, our focus, and that the big changes, there were like different stages of what was unfolding. Bombing started targeting hospitals and refugee camps and um, schools. And yeah, so it just was very obviously intense. And then there was also a quote unquote ceasefire, a temporary ceasefire conveniently placed on Thanksgiving,
Yes.
which I thought was
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous and
Pretty on brand.
calculated
Yeah.
when, we're celebrating one genocide here in the United States, and they don't want us talking about another genocide. So they're going to give us a quote unquote temporary, or make us feel like there's some sort of relief there, when in reality, it's still just as horrific.
Yeah.
Just want to
Thank
say
you.
that.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I didn't mean to skirt around that topic. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that 20,000 Palestinians were unalived. That's more than the first Nakba in 1948. 1.7 million Palestinians are displaced from their homes, they're houseless. So it is important to mention that, because it's like we're watching it in real time. And I don't know what it's going to take for people for it to radicalize you or make you realize that like all of our liberation movements are connected to each other. Like we are one people, we are one humanity. And I just want to send all of my love and prayers to Gaza, to the West Bank, to all of Palestine, to the Congo, to the Sudan, to all places around the world that are still in the grips of oppression and horrific things happening. So thank you for mentioning that, because I meant to. I forgot.
No, of course, of course. Okay. We ready for December?
Ready as I'll ever be.
It's a busy month, but it's looking up.
Yeah. Some Capricorn energy to ground us.
I have some more positive feelings about it than I have the past 2 months. And
Good.
we start off with a bang on December 1st. Mercury, the planet of communication, our mind, opinions, moves into Capricorn.
Mm-hmm. So we're like officially in the Mercury shadow before Mercury goes retrograde. So how do you feel about Mercury in Capricorn? How does this manifest?
Well, Mercury in Capricorn is practical, is Saturnian. I find people who have Mercury in Capricorn are concise communicators. They say less, you know? And I
Yes.
used to take it personally. I was like, oh my God, they hate me. And I'm like, no, they
So
just have a
true.
Saturn ruled Mercury. It's their
Yes.
form of expression. So, really setting boundaries and even being a little calculated with what you say and how you say it. We
Mhm.
might be thinking more term about our future. We're thinking about the systems and structure and history in terms of like collective work.
Mhm.
Um, and but yeah, it can put you in a more ambitious mood for sure too.
Mhm. You're so right about the like less words. It's like the less the better. Almost.
Yes, which is the opposite of Mercury and Leo. I'm like, here's 1,000
Yeah.
words for one thought.
Seriously, it's the opposite of how I communicate.
Mhm.
But yeah, you're so right about that.
And it will be, like you said, we're in the shadow period now. So you're going to want to pay attention to themes, topics that come up for you because this retrograde is going to kick off later in the month and similar conversations are going to unfold under that time period.
Mhm. And lastly, Mercury will go from Sagittarius to Capricorn. So you want to look at both houses, your Sag and your Capricorn houses, to see like where this retrograde will be happening.
Absolutely. But we have some cute aspects with Mercury before it goes retrograde. So on December 2nd, it will form a sextile with Saturn. And this feels really cute for like signing contracts, making new commitments, discussing
Mhm.
the future,
Yes,
um,
I was just going to say that.
having productive conversations around boundaries or even more serious topics that you've been avoiding. But um, it's easier to there's more receptivity and understanding and compassion, right, with that like Pisces um coming through. So it's a good time to have serious conversations.
Yes. I love this day to, even if it's just for yourself, to talk about your long term dreams, because Saturn in Pisces for me is like reimagining your dreams and like your imagination. And then what you said about Capricorn, it's like the long term.
Mhm.
And, Saturn, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn.
Mhm.
So there's some cute like link up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, yeah, it's just, I feel like people are going to be getting opportunities that day or signing contracts. You might receive some news or experience forward progress on an idea or make a commitment around one of your ideas. Maybe you're really putting a plan into action. So
Yeah,
it feels exciting.
it does.
Mhm.
Yay.
And then,
December 3rd,
yes, what do we got?
we have Venus in Libra square to Pluto in Capricorn at 28 degrees.
Mm.
Very sexy. Um, well, I tried to look ahead. I think this might be the last time Venus will square Pluto um, while Pluto's in Capricorn. I tried to look ahead, but I wasn't sure because I know Pluto goes back into Capricorn sometime next year in the fall. But I really do think this is like taking your power back in some way, expressing your power. And also, if you don't know, squares are 90-degree angles. So it does call for like action of some kind.
Yeah, if this isn't the final pass, it's the second to final pass. So you can think of it as like the second to last chapter of this story in these two archetypes colliding into one another. Venus square Pluto really kicks up a lot of deep feels, especially in our relationships. It's an important time for you to reflect on your relationship dynamics, power dynamics, themes related to jealousy, manipulation, fixation, and obsession. Um, and it's also a powerful time to transmute those triggers or patterns. So it's very possible that you will be triggered in some way today, but it's up to you. Pluto's giving you the option of how are you going to use this energy? Are you going to repeat the same pattern that you in dynamic that you've been in, or are you going to make a big change? This can be like catapulting energy that really helps you alchemize and let go of the past, but it's going to require you to be uncomfortable, to surrender, to release control, and to be vulnerable and honest with yourself about what is really showing up in your relationships.
Like a stress test for your long-term relationships.
Yeah.
Or like, do you want to still be in this relationship for the long haul? Because Capricorn again is like long term, and Venus in Libra, Venus is in its home sign of Libra, and it's relationships relating to other people. So I think it's like a stress test.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's also a really great day to transform your looks and play around with your aesthetic. A lot of people who have Venus Pluto aspects in their natal charts work in like the fashion industry, high fashion, couture, and yeah, just are really captivated by the fashion world. So this could be a fun time to play around with your style, to take a sexy photo. I think last year when Venus squared Pluto, I put my butt on the internet,
Yeah,
do
you
something like
did.
that. Not everyone has to put their butt on the internet, but if you feel called to.
I think it's very sexy personally.
Yeah, it can, and it's totally, it can be like a time to explore your kinks, to, yeah. And a deepening of relationships can take place.
Yes.
So,
I'm a
and
fan.
And then what I think is so interesting is the next day, Venus moves into the sign of Scorpio. And it's kind of like a repeat because Pluto in modern astrology is associated with Scorpio. And a lot of those similar themes and energies will kind of come up over the next coming weeks as Venus moves through this sign.
Venus in Scorpio can be secretive, can be magnetic, can be a little obsessed. Like Venus, whenever I meet a person with Venus and Scorpio who I know specifically, I'm just thinking about her. She's like, I want to merge with you, And like me being like a Venus and Aquarius, I'm like, it's too much. Like, I just need to
Possessive.
like, yeah, very possessive, very like intense energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an important time to, yeah, bonds can deepen. You're exploring your shadow dynamics in relationships, your shadow side. Venus is said to be not totally thriving when it moves through Scorpio and detriment, but I think we've talked about this before. I think it gives it a little extra superpower.
Yes.
It just shines in a different way.
Yes. I think it's very seductive. And what we said about Scorpio season last month, you can apply to Venus and Scorpio, like do a little sex magic.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. A great time to play around with your desires and what you're attracted to and your relationship with pleasure as well.
On December 5th, Venus in Scorpio will trine Saturn in Pisces.
So
And
this
trines are harmonious.
trines are harmonious. And this is going to bring us back to whatever conversations took place on December 2nd. So if you were discussing a potential contract, this is like, here comes the good news. Here comes the agreement, right? Venus, I'm seeing like handshaking. Like here you're really getting some positive momentum and support. Venus, you know, is a planet of support. So in terms of like love, this is a great time to make commitments. Maybe couples are talking about next steps in their future.
Yeah, because Venus and Saturn love each other.
Well, this is a sweet you know, in terms of aspects, at least they're as cozy as it could get.
Yes. So if there's anybody out there that wants to like ask somebody to be their girlfriend, boyfriend, or person, this would be a good day.
Make it official. Yes.
Make it official. Lock it down.
And great for like collaborative opportunities as well. And, you know, also like smoothing over any misunderstandings or clearing the air with people too.
Yes.
Then we have December 6th, Neptune stations direct in Pisces at 24 degrees. So, okay. When Neptune went retrograde, that was when everyone was obsessed with the submarine exploding in the middle of the ocean, right?
Yes.
Just making sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So who knows what will unfold around this time? Something probably related to water, something probably related to boats. But yeah, what do you think about Neptune stationing direct?
So Neptune in Pisces is when it was retrograde, I think it was really making us examine our like collective dream and our collective vision, because Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are collective planets, right? So when it goes direct, hopefully we have, I'm being super delulu right now. Hopefully we all have a shared vision on how we want to live and exist together in this, like on this planet. And yeah, I do think some things will happen. I know there was a story, I didn't look at the astrology, but the orcas are still like going strong. Did you see that?
Yes, they're back at it. I love this.
Yeah, they're back at it. I didn't see the astrology around it, but I was like, okay, the ocean's still talking. And I think they're going to continue to talk because, you know, the climate crisis, and we're still in the Uranus and Taurus aspect as well. So yeah, I think Neptune going direct, maybe there'll be more of a collective vision and how to move forward, because I think right now it's super chaotic. Nobody knows what's going on. Neptune is very foggy and cloudy.
We need that positive Aries Sagittarius spin for sure. Absolutely. I think personally, it can also kind of serve as like a reality check, because you're getting intense Neptune energy and it's going to kind of show you which of your dreams, hopes for the future are rooted and grounded in this realm, in the dimension, what's possible. And it's also going to help you realize this kind of just lives in my fantasy and probably isn't something I should actually put my energy toward and go after. And that could be a relationship, that could be a personal goal, but I think there will be some sort of important realizations around that time as well.
Yeah. And I do think, especially these last 2 months, I just saw a lot of people trying to escape reality by not being honest with what's going on. The people who were already in that like 5D new agey space, I think they went further out there during this genocide, multiple genocides. So hopefully they'll come back down to earth.
That would be great.
Or not. But yeah, I saw while it was going retrograde, I saw it like multiply.
Yeah, so that will be an interesting day to pay attention to because there's certainly going to be a lot of headlines that are kind of around Neptunian topics and themes. So we'll report back in our next forecast.
Yes.
Then December 7th, we have the sun in Sagittarius forming a trine with Chiron in Aries. This is because this is a supportive trine. Anytime Chiron is involved, sure, there can be some element of being triggered in some way, but
Mhm.
it's a supportive aspect. And I would see this as more like making progress on your own healing journey and also feeling more authentic, like
Mhm.
feeling safe to show up as who you are and to take up space. That's what the sun is all about. So, and Aries is Aries focus is me, right? So I think that this can be a really healing day for your identity, your sense of self, and just sinking deeper into your authenticity.
Mm. I couldn't have said that better myself.
Oh,
Yeah.
but but maybe also because I like to be the Grim Reaper over here too. Um, Daddy issues can come up.
Oh, daddy issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
hmm Well, yeah, I think Chiron is the wounded healer. So everybody has Chiron in Aries somewhere in their Aries chart right now. And it's a wounding around not feeling like you're empowered, that you can't do things on your own, like independence, taking the first step, right? And the
Hmm.
sun is wherever the sun is traveling through, it's like highlighting that part of your chart. So just look at where you have Sagittarius and Aries, which are two fire signs. So it is an empowering aspect that day. And just think about like what sorts of things hold you back from starting that project or feeling independent, or, just Aries topics that you might feel like you can't do it for some.
Hmm. Absolutely. And on the same day, we have Mercury and Capricorn forming a trine with Jupiter and Taurus. And this is great. I love when Mercury and Jupiter meet up. I think there's no better time. And we had this happen 3 times for us. I
Mm-hmm.
think in September and October when Mercury was in Virgo.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, generally it's like supportive conversations. People are receptive to your thoughts and ideas, and a great time to expand your mind, to learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
Great day for travel, taking risks. I think this one is going to be extra important because Mercury will go retrograde in Capricorn and it's going to trace over this placement 2 more times. So this is the first chapter of a 3-part series. So
Mm-hmm.
really kind of pay attention to everything that's going on. What are you thinking about today? What agreements are you making today? What ideas come to you today? And just know that there will inevitably be some sort of setback or delay, but it's it's all written in the stars. Don't lose hope because it's just a temporary setback.
Yeah, I love that. And just remember, like Jupiter is trying to expand your Taurus house. So, like, Mercury is the messenger. So, Mercury is like, hey, try this or try this,
Mm. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes,
little
yes.
winged feet.
Yes, I love that little visual. And on December 9th, we have Venus in Scorpio forming an opposition with Jupiter in Taurus. And this is taking place at 6 degrees and is one of the more exciting aspects of the month because we have the two luckiest planets in the sky facing off. So if you have any personal planets or placements between 0 and 10 degrees of the fixed signs, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, or Aquarius, you'll feel this the most intensely. But this can be kind of like a full moon moment
Mm-hmm.
to some of your seedlings and your dreams and your desires, something that you've been working really hard towards, especially something you initiated around March 1st. when Venus and Jupiter last formed a conjunction in the sky.
I love that. I'm really excited. I have Jupiter at 9 Scorpio. So I'm really looking forward to this one. A little reprieve for the fixed sign placements.
Yes, yes. And, this is a day of celebration, indulgence, but also drama, so it's not all rainbow and sunshine. Like Jupiter expands, but it also pushes us outside of our comfort zone. So I think on one hand, there may be reasons to celebrate. And on the other hand, maybe you're dealing with some drama in some of your close relationships.
Yeah. Because full moons can be like you said, you see something and it's overwhelming, or it's something maybe, what is good or bad, right? But it can also be something that you've been creating for a while, and you're like, oh, finally it manifested it.
Yes.
So yeah, sometimes full moons are emotional.
Yeah. And it's also, this is one of those aspects every year that I look out for hangovers. Even,
Oh,
yeah. So like, even like if you just smoke weed, you might smoke too much and then wind up groggy the next day. Like, this is an important day to use moderation to your advantage, especially if you have something important to do the next day. So,
yeah, for
just
sure.
some words of wisdom from someone who has lived on a Venus Jupiter opposition before, lived a little too wild and free.
Ah. December 11th, we have Mercury in Capricorn, sextile Venus in Capricorn at 8 degrees.
So this is a cute aspect because we had a Mercury sextile Venus
Last
in
month.
last month.
Yeah.
And so this is the next time they're meeting up or this is the first time. No. This is the next time they're meeting up.
Yeah.
And
We said to use this to sext.
yeah, and now that Venus is in Scorpio, this could definitely be a good time to sext. Also, words and maybe to discuss more serious matters, to get to the heart of something, to bypass the superficial. And yeah, but I think conversations in general will be well received. For some, this could mean lucky news finds its way to them.
Have a deep conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I also think like Capricorn and Scorpio, they have this very similar quality of like loyalty and being kind of serious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's that energy of something serious is developing here.
Oh, yes.
Definitely. Then on December 12th, we have a new moon in Sagittarius. Just FYI, December 12th is the day to pay attention to this month. There's quite a bit going on. But we have the new moon in Sagittarius. It's taking place at 20 degrees. So any placements between 15 and 25 of Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces will feel it the most intensely.
This new moon is ruled by Jupiter retrograde at 6 Taurus. It's co-present with Mars at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, and it's squaring Neptune at 24 Pisces. So, like Stephanie said, there's a lot going on here. Shall we unpack it a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it will be interesting. New moons in Sagittarius are all about zooming out and thinking about the big picture and expansion and ways in which we're ready to leave our comfort zone and try new things or learn new things. Disseminating and sharing information, our beliefs, brand new renewal for our perspective and belief system. But and important conversations can begin around this time as well that feel real optimistic and encouraging.
Yeah.
But this moon is forming a square to Neptune, and that kind of creates a little bit of a fog and a cloud. So we're not seeing all of the information we need to make informed decisions. I think on one hand, it could also mean you're initiating a creative project around this time. But yeah.
Yeah. I think it's very okay. So I'm obviously optimistic. I think it's a very hopeful new moon because just by the nature of Sagittarius, it's very optimistic. It does see the big picture. You might be called to like go on an adventure or explore something like studying or traveling. And I think it being ruled by Jupiter, which is going to go direct later in the month, there is some kind of groundedness here. Um, because Jupiter has been retrograde for so long, it's that area of your life where you're like, okay, do I have enough money to do things that I want to do? Do I have enough stability in this area of my life to make my dreams happen? And I think there is a positive aspect to squaring to Neptune where it's like you have all these like imaginations and dreams and ideas of grandeur, but then yeah, like a part of it is this reality? Can I make this happen? So I do think a lot of people, and from Stephanie's book, The New Moon in Sagittarius, Season of the Zodiac, you suggest to do a vision board. And I'm definitely going to do that day because I think a lot of people are going to have these like visions for maybe 2023 was a little not so it didn't live up to its expectations. So a lot of people are looking to 2024, but then it's like, okay, I need to pull back a little and think like, because Mercury goes retrograde the same day, can I make this happen actually?
Yeah. And I think your point about this new moon being ruled by Jupiter retrograde, it's almost as if when Jupiter goes direct, which will take place at the end of the month, we'll touch on that. That's kind of like when the seeds that you're planting are going to actually your momentum is going to kick in for whatever ideas come through on this new moon. So there might be a little bit of a delay for sure.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, and you gave away the biggest event of all on the same day. Mercury goes retrograde in Capricorn at 8 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think is so fascinating about this is that we started the year with Mercury retrograde in Capricorn.
We
And it
did.
ended on January 18th at 8 degrees. So that
Yes.
means it's literally starting, this next retrograde cycle is picking up exactly where we left off at the same point in the sky on January 18th. So this is literally the pinnacle of picking up unfinished business, conversations for a final pass. This is the last time we're going to have Mercury retrograde in Capricorn for, I don't know, a couple of years. The next year, it's going to be all fire signs. So this is kind of like the grand finale of a certain story. And it's definitely going to take you back to January. So you're going to want to think, especially around January 18th, what was unfolding for you. Because that's going to come up during this retrograde.
That is so wild because I remember you saying back in January that the year was going to end with this retrograde. So I literally feel like some timeline shift happened.
Yeah. And maybe it would be a great time to do timeline jumping for sure.
Yeah. You mean like not having 2023 happen?
Yeah, just erase it. Pretend that never happened.
I'm just joking. That is wild though. That is some cosmic reset.
Yeah. So the retrograde fuckery begins, and you'll have to pay attention to your Capricorn sector of your chart. And this is when you're going to want to pay attention to what was kind of going on December 1st when Mercury first entered this sign.
Yeah. I don't remember which retrograde you said this, but I always think about it. You said Mercury retrogrades are such a great way to counteract capitalism because normally we're like always on, right? Mercury is the fastest moving planet in our solar system, and it's constantly like moving and it has its winged feet. It's like, and it's such a great time to take a step back and reflect and review and ask yourself, like, is this really what I want to do? Is this really what I want going forward, since it is in a Saturn ruled sign? And there's nothing to be afraid of in Mercury retrogrades at all. Like, obviously double check everything, but I think they're great. I think they're great pauses for us.
And it's really an important part of the manifestation co-creation process, because if we didn't take the time to slow down and reflect on what's no longer working for us, we wouldn't have the space to weed out what's not working, so we can create more space to invite in new ideas and inspiration. So it's definitely much more needed than people give it credit for. And it all happens 3 to 4 times a year, and like we're more used to the energy than people think.
Yes. Yeah.
So then on December 15th, we have Mars in Sagittarius forming a trine with Chiron in Aries.
So yeah, this will bring us back to when the sun in Sagittarius was trying to Chiron in Aries. And I just think, yeah, like whatever you felt empowered to do on that day, you might actually take action on it now. Because I think just overall, all of the outer planets are in their last degrees of their respective signs. I really do think that we're going into this new, I don't want to say new earth, new age. That sounds very like weird, but when they all shift to these, like when Uranus moves to Gemini, Saturn moves to Aries, Neptune moves into Aries, and Pluto moves into Aquarius, it just seems like something is shifting. And so I think we're all getting prepared in some way to be more in our power and not giving our power away. Chiron and Aries.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can just take like baby steps, like how we were saying during our review, towards our fear and what makes us scared, it really does alchemize these wounds that we have.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think on a personal level, you may also be reflecting on where you give your power away, or where your wounds get in the way of you taking action, whether it's like wanting to people please others, or yeah, just kind of like how your wounds inform the way that you move through the world and your personal drive.
Yes. December 16th. Are you ready to move on?
Yes, yes.
December 16th, the sun in Sagittarius will be square to Neptune in Pisces at 24 degrees. How fun.
You have this in your birth chart.
Yeah.
Tell us.
I don't know.
That's the perfect answer. And
literally, I don't know. End scene.
You couldn't sum that aspect up in a better way.
Literally, I don't know. I think the best way to work with Neptune, so all of the planets, you have to give it what it wants, right? Especially the malefics. And so I always say to people who have this natally or have a gnarly Neptune transit, you have to surrender to the unknown because it's inevitable. Like you can't make it brighter when it's foggy. You know, when you drive in fog and you're trying to like drive and you can't like navigate by turning the lights on brighter, it is inevitable. You have to surrender to the unknown. And the more you resist that, the more you're going to um, manifest the shadow aspects of a sun square Neptune, which is like addiction. Matthew Perry has this and had this in his chart as well, because you could succumb to addiction and addictive behaviors because you're just trying to not surrender, basically. What you resist persists.
And I think it's an aspect that kicks up our sensitivities, whether that's something that's personally unfolding in our lives or we're feeling more tender about what's unfolding in the collective. And when the sun squares Neptune, we can seek our vices or a desire to escape. When the world just feels like too much or our feelings feel like too much.
Oh yeah.
This can also be kind of like a lower energy day, not to fearmonger, but you could catch a cold today. You could get sick today. Be extra, maybe wear your mask if you're going on public transit. I don't know. But it's definitely something that can weaken your vitality, right? The sun is your vitality.
Sure.
But I think when the sun or any other planet makes a hard aspect to Neptune, it's an important time to stay curious, be open to your imagination, be cognizant of what comes through, but don't feel like you have to have an absolute truth or answer on that day.
Yeah. Literally, I don't know.
End scene. I love it. And then we're greeted with some cosmic blessings on December 18th when Mercury retrograde in Capricorn forms a trine with Jupiter in Taurus. And this is going to bring us back to December 7th, those conversations that we started. So, yeah, I think on one hand, it can feel like good news, but good news that comes with some sort of caveat or delay.
Like let's say you're going on an audition, my accent, oh my God, audition, and you're going on the first call on December 7th, and then they have to like review it on December 18th, and then maybe on January 19th you get like the final answer or something, right? It's like you don't get the answer right away.
Yes, because the final pass will take place on January 19th. So this is just your second chapter, and both planets are retrograde. So there can be just a little bit of retweaking, going back to the drawing board in some way, but it still feels hopeful and encouraging, I'd say.
Yes. And look at your Capricorn and Taurus houses.
And then December 20th, Venus in Scorpio forms an opposition with Uranus in Taurus. I have found that the last couple of times that Venus and Uranus had like tense aspects, I wound up like hanging out with people that I haven't seen in like 8 years, or that I would normally never see, or, you're associating with people that are maybe out of the blue. This can also look like a sudden windfall. Maybe you have a brush with fame, maybe you go viral, maybe an unexpected financial contract arrives. But this can also look like breakups. You
Like
can't predict with Uranus.
No, you can't.
Any astrologer who's, yeah, exactly. Any astrologer who's like, oh, it will blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, Uranus is literally the planet of surprise. So,
yeah, and also check your personal planets, because when I get a Uranus like contact with one of my personal planets in an opposition to, let's say, Venus, because I've tracked this as well, that's when I usually go viral. And it's because I have placements in these areas, and also Uranus is on my ascendant. So I notice that whenever there is like a Uranus thing happening in the sky, like an opposition to Venus or Mercury, that's when I go viral. And I don't even like do it on purpose. It just happens that way. But also, what was it? Oh my God. Oh, because Uranus is in Venus's sign, I do think that they're also kind of speaking to each other, right? Like a
Mhm.
surprise that could be maybe like surprise money, or I
It
don't
could be
know.
a little bit more positive because of that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, go with the flow today. Plans will probably change. People will shock you. You may shock others, but
Hmm.
it's a liberating day. You might feel,
Totally.
yeah, like you have some serious breakthroughs or important downloads that come through.
Break a habit.
Break a habit. Then on December 21st, we've got a lot going on. The sun enters Capricorn. It's the winter solstice,
Yes, it
and
is.
Mercury meets with Saturn one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Busy day, busy day.
Very busy day. And I also noticed there were other sweet things happening. The sun will trine to a 0 degree Taurus moon, which is
Yeah.
so cute.
Yeah. And that's the winter solstice's chart.
Hmm.
I love that.
I love that.
So energy will be flowing because the luminaries, the sun and the moon, when they form harmonious aspects like that, it's our inner selves and our inner needs and our outer world and our expression in
Hmm.
harmony and synchronicity. So that's very supportive energy for the day
Yeah.
and a good omen for the season ahead, right? If that's what
It felt very positive because when we have like the beginning of a cardinal season, it's like 3 months of initiation, right? And it's the solstice. So here in the northern hemisphere, the light is coming back. It's getting a little lighter every day. And the sun, we're not quite at the Kazemi moment yet, but the sun is still kind of conjunct Mercury, right? At 1 degree of Capricorn. So there is this like feeling of like a rebirth happening in a cardinal sign. And the moon, the sun and the moon trining with the moon exalted in Taurus. I don't know. It just felt very like, let's grow something.
yeah, yeah. I think the only thing to really pay attention to is that since Mercury is meeting with Saturn in a sextile again, and now Mercury is retrograde and it's
Mhm.
kicking up, I think that December 2nd aspect, there could be, you might have to revise some plans. You may have to rethink a commitment. Maybe your own obligation or workload or whether it's personal or professional, has shifted in some way.
Yeah,
And you might have to renegotiate some boundaries. But in general, the skies are pretty cute that day.
very cute.
Mhm.
Very cute solstice festivities.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then December 22nd, we have the Mercury Cazimi. So the sun and Mercury meet in Capricorn at 0 degrees of a cardinal sign. 0 degrees is a critical degree. Um, I think also a world point. So making this even more intense. We'll probably have some very notable headlines in the world going on that day.
Yeah.
And it marks the halfway point in your personal Mercury retrograde journey. So you'll have realizations, clarity. Your Mercury retrograde story is starting to make sense. You're like, okay, this is why I've been inconvenienced in this way, or this is why I needed to take extra time with this project. So a fuller picture is coming into view.
Yes. I just love December 21st to 22nd to do a spell, put it out there in the universe. Cause like we said, like cardinal signs at 0 degrees is like a world point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a big
Love
deal.
that call out. Yeah.
Mhm.
And later in the day, Mercury retrograde will move into Sagittarius. So it's going to change signs.
Mhm.
This will be the first time we have a Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius since November and December of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while. You're going to want to think back to that time. What was going on? What were those pain points or areas of frustration that were unfolding? Because they may come up again. I think it's also important to name that Mercury struggles a little bit when it's in Sagittarius. So I think when it comes to miscommunication and misunderstandings, they're probably going to get a little heightened around this time, especially because Mercury will also be co-present with Mars in Sagittarius, which is a malefic.
Mm-hmm.
So words can feel more intense and misunderstandings can feel more catastrophic, you know?
Yes. December 24th, the sun in Capricorn will sextile Saturn in Pisces at 2 degrees.
This
It's very
is,
similar, yeah, to Mercury sextile, right? Was
yeah,
it Mercury? Yeah.
yeah. So it's going to highlight that conversation, those topics, those themes that have been kind of unfolding as Mercury meets with Saturn at this point in the sky. But it
Mm-hmm.
is also a great day for gaining authority and confidence and
Mm-hmm.
recognition in some of your skills and talents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Need to
Setting
add.
setting cute boundaries,
Yeah.
making commitments. That's another topic. Discussing the future.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. And December 25th, Venus in Scorpio forms a trine with Neptune in Pisces.
Mhm. That's cute. It's very dreamy. It's like rose-colored glasses.
Yes, yes. It's like a temporary salve or balm, right? That feels
Mhm.
like very nourishing in some way. But creative energy, healing, compassionate energy, spiritual energy,
Mhm.
probably a great day to do a spell,
Yes.
um,
Ooh, I like that.
or take like a healing, cleansing bath,
Mhm.
intentional work with water, speak your desires into water, right? These are coming
Mhm.
in two water signs.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, in general, I think people are understanding and a lot of healing and like a deeper sense of belonging and security can be felt today.
Mhm. And if anybody celebrates Christmas, Jesus Christ's birthday, December 25th could be like a more harmonious day because the last couple of years were pretty gnarly. So this is like a positive aspect.
It's a positive aspect because the moon is going to be opposite Mars that day, and that's going to blow.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll definitely still be the potential for some drama.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's that will hopefully
Of
be a
course.
temporary balm, right? The salve
Of course.
to take
Yes.
over. But and then we have a full moon in Cancer the next day on December 26th. So it's kind of like any drama that wasn't addressed the day
Mm-hmm.
before, it's
It
under the
might come out.
spotlight. It's
Yeah.
under the spotlight. Cancer is a zodiac sign that's associated with our sense of security, our chosen family, our living situation, as well as our past. And yeah, it's a full moon. So, but the moon is making cute aspects. It's connecting with Saturn and Jupiter. And so that feels like a positive growth.
Yeah.
What
I
do you
like
think?
it. Well, I like it. I love when the moon is in Cancer. I usually cry, but
Same.
once a month when the moon enters Cancer. But for me, like a Cancer moon is birthing something, like something. I always think of like mother energy. And I love the aspects that this the sun is making a trine to Jupiter in Taurus, the moon is making a sextile to Jupiter, the full moon is trine to Saturn in Pisces. Like it just seems like it's being supported in some way by the outer planets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, bringing something to fruition, one of your goals, and bringing that stability with Saturn as well.
Mm-hmm.
And on the same day, there's a couple other things going on, which is why even though the full moon is like making cute aspects, I'm just a little apprehensive about it because we have Chiron stationing direct. That feels like ow, you know?
Yeah.
And then we also have Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius forming a square with Neptune and Pisces. That can also feel like ow. Words can feel more sensitive that day, or paranoid thoughts can like get the best of us.
Mm-hmm.
And with Chiron stationing direct, that's gonna reveal some sort of turning point on our healing and wounding journey. So for some, it could be empowering. And for others, it could be like, oh shit, I thought I worked on this. And here it
Yeah.
is again.
Especially because the holidays can be very triggering if you're not close to your family or if you're like alone and you're, or, I was going to say deranged, estranged from your family. Such a, such a Mercury square Neptune statement.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I do want to be sensitive to that because not everybody is close to their family, and those wounds might come up during this time.
And even if you are close with your family, you might start seeing other generational patterns or aspects or um yeah, something within your own lineage that is giving you pause or making you feel sensitive in some way.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. I didn't think about that.
So
Thank
it
you for
could
making it, keeping it real.
it could be a little bit of a sensitive day. I don't know, but TBD. We'll see.
Oh.
But then we
No,
have
but this is why I need you in my life because I need to be prepared for these things, you know?
that's why we do these forecasts. That's exactly why. It helps everyone.
Yeah.
And then December 27th, we have some relief when the sun in Capricorn forms a trine with Jupiter and Taurus. And this feels like a true day of
Mhm.
celebration. I love this.
Mhm. Yeah, it's very cute. It's very growth oriented.
Yeah, celebratory,
Mhm.
generous,
Mhm.
positive developments or progress.
Mhm.
And yeah, just like warm energy.
Yeah, I like it.
And December 28th, we have Mars and Sagittarius forming a square with Neptune and Pisces.
Mhm.
What do you think of that?
So last month we had this month, which is November, we had Mars square Saturn, right? And so this is Mars square Neptune. Um, okay, so obviously this is a malefic encounter. And originally when I thought about the Mars square Saturn, I was like thinking the worst, and it ended up being positive. So I think this could be like taking action on your dreams. It can be like being like, Neptune is direct. Like, why can't I make this happen?
Mm-hmm.
Because Mars in Sagittarius goes after its dreams, goes after its like wild ambition. Um, so I'm gonna see the positive aspect of this, but I'm sure you have like you're gonna bring it down. You're gonna bring it down to earth.
So I just realized that also on December 27th, so the day before this aspect perfects, is when Mercury and Mars form a conjunction in Sagittarius. So Mercury retrograde conjuncts with Mars in Sagittarius. So that's going to feel like, I think, a verbal shit show. That's going to be like setting boundaries,
Mhm.
saying things that you can't take back. Words hurt a little bit more today. Maybe you're initiating a project or a big idea comes through, but when Mercury and Mars meet, words can sting a little bit more intensely. We might be setting boundaries. And then literally the next day, we have Mars facing off with Neptune. So, yeah, I think similar to the sun, this is going to also bring us back to December 16th when the sun met with Neptune in Pisces, but it can create kind of a lower energy, lower motivation, and but it can have us acting on our beliefs, acting toward taking action towards a goal or a dream. And also we might have to make a sacrifice.
Yeah, that's true.
But we'll definitely notice the energy that day.
Totally. Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
same day,
Yeah.
what were you going to say?
No, no, I was just going to say, like, you might want to take action, but you don't know what to do.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
that kind of vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on the same day, we have Venus in Scorpio forming a sextile with Pluto in Capricorn. And that's cute. That relationships are deepening. You might feel like you've transmuted some relationship patterns. Yeah. You could have like meet with influential people or discuss exciting agreements. So busy couple of days.
Yeah. And they're at the 29th degree because Pluto moves into Aquarius the next month. And yeah, oh, this is when they next meet because when Venus was in Libra and it was square to Pluto and Capricorn, I was like, when are they going to meet again? I guess it's here. And yeah, I think so. I really like Venus Pluto aspects, even when they're squares and oppositions, because I think it's like, especially for the feminine aspect of you, it's like harnessing your divine feminine energy in a very like deep way. And so I like this, even though it's a sextile. Sextiles are very like quick aspects. Like I definitely like this.
Yeah. Another good energy to, or good day to do some sort of spell work or something you're releasing, right? With, especially with that Mars square Neptune.
Totally.
Then December 29th, Venus moves into Sagittarius. And yeah, in terms of love, matters of the heart, I think people can be a little bit harder to pin down. Our interests are more varied.
Foreign lovers.
Yeah, going after people who aren't your typical quote unquote type, being more open, curious to learn new things, pick up new skills, travel. But yeah, I think that this it's like a fun, lighthearted transit. You know, this is a great if you're single and open to dating, this is a great time to be on the dating apps. But also, you know, if you're someone who's like, I wanted a ring on my finger like 3 years ago, this is maybe not the best time to put yourself out
No,
there.
no, because like Venus and fire signs wants to have fun. This isn't like Venus and Libra or like in Taurus.
Yeah,
It's
wait till Venus is in Capricorn if you want to lock someone down.
yes, good point. Good
Yeah,
point.
and that'll be just around the corner, so
Just
don't you worry about it.
yeah.
And then the month ends on December 30th with Jupiter stationing direct at 5 degrees of Taurus.
Yay.
I think this is a beautiful way to end the year, to have one of our benefics in the sky. It's a turning point. When did Jupiter go retrograde? Do you remember?
Was it June or
Let me see if I can look it up. Tell us what you think about Jupiter going direct while I look it up.
yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about this because the ruler of my chart is Jupiter. So it was a lot about Jupiter and Taurus was a lot about like reevaluating how I want to expand my life in my Taurus house, which is the sixth house, which is super boring for a Sagittarius rising like myself. And I think now that I've gone through that retrograde, I can see how the energy is moving now to move forward. and what areas of my life do I want to put more energy into in terms of work? Who do I want to work with? How do I want to spend my time? And now it can all go forward,
I
which
think
I'm excited for.
that's a big call out for Sagittarius and Pisces and Taurus risings,
Yes.
because the Sagittarius and Pisces are Jupiter ruled. So whatever Jupiter is doing in the sky really does have a serious impact on you.
Mhm.
It went retrograde on September 4th, which was the
Oh.
day after
Mhm.
Venus stationed direct. So we had a flip flop of the benefics,
Right.
right? I totally forgot about that.
Right. Right.
So this is going to bring us back to September 4th, and any kind of sources of expansion that were starting to bloom, but maybe had some setbacks. Now
Yes.
they may pick up steam again. This is
Yes.
also going to help you focus on, yeah, which dreams you want to put that dedicated, stable, committed, fixed sign energy of Taurus, that energy into. Which one of your dreams are you going to like plod along and commit to? And yeah, we'll also probably push you outside of your comfort zone in a couple other ways over the
Yeah.
next couple months.
Yeah. And I'm really excited for 2024 because most of the planets will start all be going direct, all be moving forward. And it really seems like we were in this retrograde period for the last half of 2023, and now we're all ready to move forward and do our thing, do our purpose.
It's a beautiful way to end the year.
Yes. So see you in 2024.
We'll see you in 2024. And let us know, as always, how did these transits manifest for you? And we just love to hear your feedback and any fun planetary stories you'd like to share.
Bye.
Bye.